Today, we're gonna talk about the inequalities that are prevalent in today's community.
Background of the study. The inequality in the Philippines has a big impact. Some families really need to work hard to be able to eat on a daily basis. Only the wealthy people can only have equal rights towards this situation. While the middle class and the poor may have inequalities to each other, unlikely for the wealthy people. The way the income tax rate is becoming higher throughout the year, that's why the middle class now is also struggling to keep up. It needs to be able to work harder from now on. On this other side of the story, the poor people needs to gain more attention rather than the wealthy people. They always struggle to keep up in life. Through the years, poverty always hits them first. They can't barely eat every other day, only eat once or twice a week for them to survive. It's always hard living to be a poor person or family. They always have to ask help for the government just to supplement their needs for their everyday lives. At this point, all the prices from the businesses are also getting higher because of the tax rate here in our country. The Philippines population average of 92.3 million below the poverty line. There are no further action taken from these problems that everyone may seem to have struggled. But the Child Fund has operated in the Philippines since 1954, helping the poor to give their needs, foods, healthcare, and education for them to survive. So, the researchers then aim to make the people have knowledge about this problem on how big the impact would be to our country. Because economic and social inequality is a complex problem, and it will continue over the years. The purpose of this to know is to persuade people to critically think and help the society to rise up, like the foundation that the government somehow is supporting the people's needs, foods, health, and also education. The disparity is far greater in different places in the world than the gap you would make on your own. You would not be able to bring the risk of your baby dying down to the average amount in countries with the greatest infant health because you are born in a bad country, where every 10th child dies. Roser 2019. According to Roser, the inequality in our society has a big impact also the infants and children. Because of inequality, even the newborns have to suffer from hunger due to this problem. Most studies has shown that women live longer than men in developed countries, tables 3 and 3b, but tend to suffer more ill health. Although men have higher mortality from the most common causes of death, somatic symptoms such as fatigue, headache, muscle aches, and pain affect more women than men. Bartley, 2004. According to Bartley, that women live longer than men, but most of us men have higher mortality due to what Bartley have said. The women although have a higher risk of death due to the emotional sense are a lot more consistent rather than men. The inequalities that occurred between schools. Students face overcrowding, poor sanitation, and understaffed facilities in education institutions, where even simple supplies and textbooks can be lacking. Even if state financing is used to partly equalize district funding, inequality weren't reduced. Equal funding for unequal needs is not equality. Causal 1991. According to Causal, even the learning school has a problem with inequalities, lacking of supplies, understaffed facilities, and etc. And also, equity is not similar to equality.
Good day to all, I'm Dylan and for our presentation, it is all about concept paper. This is a part of statement of the problem and objectives. This study aims to determine and initiate a program that will be lessen the equality that is prevalent in the society and give awareness to the people that hinders to the have equal rights. To be explicit, the research aims to achieve the following objectives. Number one is promote better governance and a key standard of class economic growth. Second is inform about inequality all of us in the Philippines, where certain house prices are rising particularly high. 3 is analysis and investigate the impact of many people suffering from various types of inequality issues.
Methodology. The descriptive method of research was used in this study. Descriptive method of fact-finding study with adequate and accurate interpretation of findings. It describes what is it describes with emphasis with ease such as current conditions, situations, or any phenomena. Since the present study or investigations was concerned with inequality that is present in our community, the descriptive method of research was most appropriate method to use. The method of collecting data was status. This is concerned with looking into the commonality of some elements. Since the present research is a real-life status study, the status survey was the most appropriate method to use in gathering data. This instrument used to collect data was an existing data. This was used because of our current situation and the time allotted is not enough. It helped us to gather data faster than any other method. After reading related studies, the research found existing data. They saw to it that there were enough surveys to collect data to cover all aspects of the problem and to answer all the specific questions under the statement of the problem.
What are your salient points? The salient points or keys that I've used is the equality is not the same as the equity. We should give opportunities to everyone. The same way for the poor, they should be in the middle class and having them to be part of it. No one should be left behind, but the situation of the inequalities is giving them a big major impact of poverty. It is hard to live in this kind of society with higher tax rates and low portion of income.
As you remember, in the methodology that I discussed, some of the limitations that we encountered was the lack of time and the COVID-19 pandemic. Even those limitations, we managed to get some information and some existing data from the past years. Gather these details through the existing data and through the internet in the past years. And this is an accurate data because it is conducted years past before the pandemic and it is a real life situation that is happening in our community. I think that this research will help the people that are experiencing the inequalities in gender, health, education, and income. This will help them to fight for their rights and needs that are given to them unequally.
Good day to all for the question and answer to the topic in the concept paper. First is, what is your motivation for doing the paper? My motivation in making the paper is to write important problem in our country and show people that the lesson give the best effort in what I do and become a researcher. Have knowledge of people about this problem and the will have impact of your country. Writing this paper is another step towards your personal and professional mission to help society rise as the foundation that the government show how support human needs, gender, health, as well as education. And I made this paper because the increase in income tax is getting higher throughout the year, which is why the middle class is also struggling to keep up it needs to able to work harder from now on. Second is, what recommendations are needed to resolve the issue you have presented. The inequality of work for the lower class in our country create many job offers for our society and reduce the standard for the poor so they can have decent jobs. Inform you about inequality between us all in the Philippines, where there are especially high house prices, and the consequence of the several individual with different form unequal problems shall be assessed and investigated.
What is the main purpose of your presentation? The purpose of our presentation is to inform. In that way, people will have knowledge about how the inequalities work in our society, so that the people will help each other to rise up and bring the society in equal parts. In order for the wealthy people can also help for the people, for those who in need, not just in the government that are supplying for them, helping one another and equally treating others the same way.